Yo, what up, y'all? Back again, man. Week two of the NFL, or excuse me, of the college football season. Sorry, it was a long night last night. But yeah, we're back, man. Out the mud once again. Listen, I just want to come on real quick. Again, we back to just all the biggest news and giving my picks. I'm not gonna go through all of them. It's too many college games, but I did have about six different games that I'm going to give y'all my input on and tell y'all who I think is going to win. First and foremost, make sure that y'all continue to like. Make sure you continue to subscribe to the page. Out the mud, featuring the kid on Instagram. Call him Coach. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram and call him dot coach. Follow the podcast out dot the dot mud podcast. What I'm saying? We're gonna be dropping continuous content for y'all. But yeah, so we just gonna jump right in, man. Week two of the college football season. Big one in about a little over a half an hour. Texas and Alabama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, the spread is 22, at least for my odds. Make sure that you bet safely and smartly. Right now in the state of Delaware, the spread is 22, and honestly, I like Texas to cover that. I don't think Bama's beating them by 22 points. Sarkeesian's first year, we all know what Saban does. Against his disciples, it's understandable, but for me, I just don't see Steve Sarkeesian at home, you know, all that emotion, with that kind of team. And they got talent. They got a solid quarterback, a good set of receivers. Bama's, obviously dominant and heavy up front in the interior, but, they are questionable in the secondary. A lot of guys that played last year but a lot of inexperience. A lot of them played towards the end of the season, really towards the playoffs. So you're talking two games of film. And the Texas has returned a few guys in the skill position, and then obviously Bijan Robinson's a cannon. Um, so look for him to do it. I think if here's where it comes down to, and this is what a lot of Alabama games come down to. It comes down to the line of scrimmage. So if Bama is dominant at the line of scrimmage, and if they can control the line of scrimmage and contain Bijan, then has no chance. But for me, if Texas can come up, with Sarkisian as an offensive guy, we forget was the OC at Bama when they won the Natty in 2020. You got to be able to use some different formations, use a lot of motions, use a lot of eye candy with Bama. Get their defense a little uncomfortable, play with some tempo. Um, so for me, this game is all about can Texas offensively be creative and use some misdirection, some eye candy to get Alabama a little off balance on defense. If they just line up and try to play football, Bama's going to dominate the football game, and that's what's kind of been their mo. But the teams that have had success in the past against them, they have a good quarterback, a good offensive scheme, and they present a lot of different eye candy for Alabama to get them off balance. The thing that's also going for Texas that is in Texas, they are playing um, at Texas. If this game was in Tuscaloosa, it'd be a whole different story. I probably, wouldn't have took Texas, going to Alabama and playing in that environment and Brian Denny. But I do like Bama to win. I'll say that. But I think Texas keeps it close. I think my final is going to be somewhere between 35 and 35 to 23. Um, I do think it's going to be low scoring in the first half. I think Texas is going to keep it close, similar to what Notre Dame did last week against Ohio State. Keep it close. It's going to be interesting in the beginning. I think it's probably halftime score be somewhere between 17-10, or 13-9, something weird. These games are always like that. When people hype it up and people think one team is more superior than the other. Then the other team comes out and plays with a lot more emotion. And honestly, this is Texas championship. This is their national championship. This is their Big 12 championship. They're on a prime stage. I wouldn't say prime time because it's at noon, but it's a noon kickoff. But you get what I'm saying. It's a prime time opponent, number one team in the country coming to Texas. First time they played since the national championship back in 2000. I believe that was in 2009 when they went to the Natty and played each other the year that Colt McCoy got hurt. But I think it's going to be somewhere close 17 and 9, 17 and 10 score at half. Bama will probably go up with a late touchdown. And then it'll be one of those things where second half Bama will assert their will and control, the game and control the tempo. But I do think that it will be close enough for Texas to cover. So the spread is 22. I'd like Texas to cover, and I'm taking Texas to cover, but I am taking Bama to win. Now, a couple of the games, Ohio State is favored 45 points against um, Arkansas State, and I did take that. I think you know Ohio State, they're going to come out, and this is one of those games where they're going to try to basically this is like it's almost a scrimmage. Ohio State is just going to run their plays. This is going to be just run what we know, run what we like. Give me your best first 15 and let's go. And it'll be 21 to nothing by the end of the first quarter. And then CJ Stroud will probably throw for four touchdowns in the first half. It'll be 28 nothing before halftime. And then they'll come out, probably have a defensive touchdown in there some way. Arkansas State might score late, and then CJ Stroud will be pulled in the fourth quarter when Ohio State is comfortably in front. And then their second group will probably get a score or two. So I like Ohio State to cover. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that game. But 45 points is a lot of points. This game to me is the most interesting that I decided to go, and attack this week. I got Georgia State +7, meaning they are the underdog against UNC at Georgia State. I like Georgia State to cover, and I like Georgia State to win. UNC almost lost to App State last week. It took a overthrown um overthrown, tight end flare, pretty much a flare screen to a tight end for App State that gave UNC the win. Remember that game last week? It was 66-63. Um, and UNC looks shaky, and you're celebrating that win in the locker room. Mac Brown doing the AB. I'm like, hold up, y'all damn near just lost to App State. Why are you celebrating? And now you got to go to Georgia State. Now, mind you, Georgia State is a lower division, one program, a lower FBS program than UNC. So naturally, it should be flipped. So Vegas knows something that we don't know, and I'm rolling with Vegas. I like Georgia State. They ran the ball for, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I got to go check my notes. That they ran the ball for over 200 yards last week against South Carolina. Um, I just want to make sure I'm accurate there. I believe that it was. Hold on, give me 1 second, because I want to make sure. Because I know I was reading up on it earlier. They ran the ball pretty well in week one against South Carolina. Yeah, they ran for 146 yards against South Carolina in week one. And anytime you can run for that amount of yards against an SEC opponent, I like Georgia State. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I think that Georgia State, again, Vegas knows something we don't know. UNC looks shaky. The whole ACC looks shaky. So I'm rolling with Georgia State. I think Georgia State's going to surprise somebody, upset somebody, and I like Georgia State to cover. I don't know. I got them winning. I'm taking the upset, but just in case, I think if they were to lose, it would be by like a field goal, or something like that. So I like Georgia State against UNC. UNC's on the road, so keep that in mind. Um, Arkansas against South Carolina. I like Sam Pittman and what he's got going on. KJ Jefferson is a elite, quarterback. He can do a lot of different things. I like Arkansas in that game. I did take the money line. I did not take the spread. Um, I always get fearful for these kind of like mid card SEC games. When you got the Arkansas and South Carolina, when you got the Kentucky and Floridas. Those are like the mid cards. You got the main events, which is our Alabama, LSU, and Georgia and Florida. Those are the main events. This is like the mid card SEC game. But I think Arkansas is pretty good this year. I like what they're doing. I like what Sam Pittman's doing, and I got them. I got them winning. I got Texas A&M minus 18. They're an 18-point favorite. I like them. They're actually they're going against App State. App State is coming off pretty much a heartbreaker. They lost against UNC, but it was a close game. They put their heart in that game. I think they're still going to have the effects from that game, and Texas A&M needs to have statement wins to build that momentum to get to that game. I believe it's October 9th against Bama when they go to Tuscaloosa. So Texas A&M is they're on a collision course with Alabama right now. So they gotta put together some statement wins and some quality wins, and it starts with this one against App State, who's coming off an almost upset. And then my final one is Florida and Kentucky. Now this game is I'm gonna be watching this game close. It's near and dear because I am a UGA fan. If you paid any attention to my week one video, UGA is obviously on another level, and I've been rocking with UGA for a long time. And if you know anything about Georgia, we don't we don't talk and mention anything about that team below us. You know what I'm saying? But for this week and for the sake of our schedule, I'm taking Florida. I like Florida. I like the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely dynamic. He's got a lot of different things he can do. Make a lot of plays with his feet. He does things. He gets people opportunities to make plays. In the utilize his playmakers. They got a solid running game. Their defense is much better and much more improved than last year. Even though they did give up 30, I believe it was 27 points to Utah. Um, but I like Florida. I need Florida to win so that they can keep that momentum and have a solid game. I just don't think Kentucky. Kentucky's a solid. I think Kentucky's a good team. Kentucky will definitely surprise some people this year, but I just don't see Kentucky being that team that can have that spotlight on them. We saw that last year, at the tail end of the season. They had an opportunity against Georgia last year. They got beat against us, and then, the table, the legs kind of fell under the table. So I just don't see Kentucky rising to the occasion. In a game of this magnitude, two top 25 teams, both of them in the SEC East. And I think Florida, just historically is built to, get and raise to the occasion. And then the game's playing in the swamp. So, they'll have the home field advantage. So Ohio State, covers the spread. Georgia State's going to cover the spread. I got Arkansas against South Carolina. Texas is not going to give up more than 22, or Texas is not going to lose by more than 22 points. I like Texas A&M to cover against App State. They need a big win, and I got the Gators, my surprise team, the shocker, if you will. I got the Florida Gators getting it done against Kentucky to stay undefeated to keep their pace with Georgia. So that way, when we get to Jacksonville, it'll be a nice little matchup before we get them up out of here too. So that's out the mud. I kind of had to makeshift something here. I left my computer that I do a lot of my podcasting on, at the job. So hey, I tried to make it work. I probably should have led with that in the beginning, but I'm still working through this podcast space. But again, if you see this video, like, subscribe, post your comments, give me the feedback. Let me know if you think that my picks was trash or if you think that you agree. And if you want to get on here and debate, we could do that too. But again, follow me on Instagram, Out the Mud Podcast. Call him Doc Coach. We're gonna be bringing all kinds of content. We're coming back again tomorrow with the NFL kickoff. My picks for that. I'll be a lot more prepared. This was more of a makeshift thing because I realized last minute I didn't have my computer. So I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, make sure y'all tune in, man. We got about T minus 30 minutes before kickoff, man. Enjoy Saturday. I'm going to see y'all again tomorrow. Peace.